one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to begin by welcoming the Hamlet Middle School principal, Ms. Jen Renegaldo. Would you please come to the podium and give us your presentation?
Good evening. My name is Jen Renegaldo, principal at Hamlet Middle School. Tonight we're going to be talking about attendance, specifically chronic attendance at Hamlet Middle School. So what you have in front of you is a handout. It's a slideshow actually that I had printed, and then the second packet is supporting documents. So the problem is 55% of students at Hamlet last year were chronically absent, which is a big problem. So in my school improvement plan this year, attendance was one of my goals. And the goal was by the end of this school year, we would reduce that to 49%. As of right now, actually, I just looked up, was it yesterday? On the RIDE website, and it's stating that we are at 40%. So we made it. We just got to keep it there for the rest of the year. So when you look through the packet, you'll notice that the first page is basically where we were last year, what our goal was, which is to reduce it to 49%, and what our plan was for this school year. So I have an attendance team because we're in CSIP. We have a big attendance team, actually. And if you look at the next page, those are all the team members of my attendance team. And I counted, took me a while. We have a huge spreadsheet that we use. Everyone uses the same spreadsheet with all tabs at the bottom for each teacher. And I counted how many students we have total, which is there's 89 students that we have on attendance plans at Hamlet. We had 328 meetings with students. Some of those meetings were just with the students. Some of them were with family members, not only just guardians or parents, but siblings actually attended, older siblings. The truant officer, the SRO has attended, social workers in the building. And we've had 200, this was as of yesterday, 212 interactions, communications. So that's varied between phone calls, emails. I just wanted to give you like the raw data. So if you look at the supporting documents, I took an excerpt from the spreadsheet. It's this document, the third one in. This is just like one little excerpt of one teacher's tab. If I printed it out, one of them was like 54 pages. So I didn't want to give you all that. I just wanted to give you an example. I actually took all the names. There are no names. I took all that out already of this. The next slide, or I can't say slide because it's not a slide, in the document is, so we gave out a survey to all our chronically absent students to ask them why they felt they were chronically absent. So if you look at the supporting documents, that is actually, I put examples. So it looks like this. So this was the document that only the kids that are on attendance plan, so the 89 students that we work with, we gave this to. And they had to think about why you're on attendance plan. If you could choose the main reason why your attendance is not what it should be, what would it be? So if you look at the results, which I didn't think they were gonna land here, but they did, 44% of the students said it was trouble sleeping, that they don't sleep at night. They stay up late. They don't wake up in the morning. They give their parents a hard time waking up, and they don't make it to school. 21% said transportation, 18% said other. Most of the others were sickness. They actually wrote 11% family issues and 6% anxiety. If you look at the next document, the next slide, Basically, what the research shows that if students feel safe and secure or feel like people care about them at school, they'll want to be at school. If you have positive events at school, they'll want to be at school more. So we had a ride visit in February of this year. It's called an ISV visit. And they cited us for one of the highest scores we got was all about climate and culture of the building. So this is all from that ride visit.
That's cool.
The next page is some of the community events we've had to promote positivity at the school. One of them being bingo, which actually you wouldn't think that kids like, but they love bingo. The last document in the supporting documents is like just an example of the flyer that we send out to students. So obviously, this is to promote attendance. Students, they have to, so there's like stipulations for this. This is to promote students to come to school. So at the beginning of the year, we had a bingo event for the entire building. Everyone went. That was to hook them on the bingo. And then we said, okay, then the next time we do bingo, we're going to say, okay, there's stipulations. You can't be more than so many days absent per month. You can't have so many tardies. And you would be surprised at how many kids want to come to bingo. So looking at what we've done, promising data. That's the one I talked about earlier, about how it's on the ride attendance tool as of March 24th. Our chronic absentee percentage is 40%. As of right now, we are 13%. We've improved 13% since last school year. My attendance team, I went through every student's data. So what we do is we track every month the percent they're absent, not the days, because every month has different days, so you can't do it like that. So out of all the 89 students we've had up until right now, 49% of those students have improved their attendance, 32% have maintained their attendance, and 19% have, unfortunately, their attendance has gotten worse. So then I threw perfect attendance in there too. So I know Kim Blay shares this with the school committee, but these are Hamlet's numbers for the months. December was, I don't know what happened in December. That's throughout the state. We had like really bad attendance for December, and you can see that in even our perfect attendance numbers, only 11%. Every other month was either 20 or in the 20s. What we could do better, so I was talking with my attendance team for next year, identify more community partners that we could work with, having positive events with families and students of just the chronic attendance students. We were thinking about something like that. So it's still a work in progress, but I feel like we've done a lot of work. A lot of hours have been put in to helping the students want to be here and be here. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good improvement.
Next, we'll go into good and welfare. For anyone addressing the school committee during good and welfare, please begin with your name and your address. Your comments shall be no more than 5 minutes of speaking time and should be in good decorum. Please be aware that the committee cannot respond to you during good and welfare, but may direct you to an appropriate member of the administration team or may meet with you directly after the meeting for further discussion. Does anyone want to address the school committee this evening?
Hi, I'm Alana Gordon, Wood Ave, Woonsocket. It was really a pleasure to come to the last meeting. And some of the things that we noticed from the last meeting was a lack of attendance. So my friend Dennis and I took it upon ourselves to go to social media and to, for the past couple of weeks, start a campaign to engage the parents in the community respond to comments online. And as you can see, it had a little bit of an effect. So slow and steady progress is what it's all about. I just wanted to address you guys because one of the things I'm trying to do in this community is bring people together and prevent silos from happening. And I noticed that that is something that is really happening here. And so I want to help. I don't have any kids in the school system, but I understand how important it is that we speak up for the kids because they don't have a voice. I also understand that they are the future. And if we don't address the things that they need, we're not going to have a future. So I guess I know that you can't address me, but if anybody wants to meet with me, I'm meeting with the superintendent tomorrow, but if anybody else wants to meet with me and kind of help me, guide me, how I can help in the community and bring people together and make this a little bit better so that more people are active and participating, please let me know because I can see that we have an issue here and I'm just trying to make it better for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Good. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Dennis Kodal from 32 Fifth Avenue. I hope you'll give me a little bit of grace on this because I'm not coming to complain. I've been listening to some of the problems that you've had and some of the problems the community has had, and I'm hoping that I'm bringing not only a solution, but funding for that solution because I know things are stretched thin already. Some of the issues that have been brought up recently, especially when I was here last time, were parental involvement. There were some comments on social media about the Yonder Pouches. Now, I'm not complaining about the Yonder Pouches. Yonder Pouches are amazing. They're doing great things. They need to stay. But there were some comments that I think that we can alleviate any of these concerns with them. Issues with keyboard warriors spreading misinformation and things that are dividing our parent and teacher interactions, as well as solutions for all of these. Now, parent involvement. I know it's been a big issue. And like I said last time, up to 40% of success of a student in schools is based entirely off of parental involvement. I think one of the issues that we are seeing with parental involvement is just a major disconnect in our society where we've kind of forgotten which generations are actually our parents. Millennials are 44 years old, like 30 to 44 years old right now. So they are our high school and our college parents. Gen Z, the oldest Gen Z is 29 years old. The same Gen Z that we shoved phones into their hands before they could walk and talk are now the ones that are our elementary school parents. To them, I know it sounds funny, but email might as well be the US Postal Service and websites might as well be a cork board at City Hall. Mm-hmm. It sucks, but that's just kind of the way it is, unfortunately. They speak through apps. Yonder Pouches. Yonder Pouches are amazing. They need to stay, but the main concerns that parents have been having is a lack of communication with their kids and a feeling of distrust that they're going to be getting all the information, mainly because of keyboard warriors and because of things like Uvalde, which is not any of y'all's fault, but it did create distrust in the system at large, where parents received that information from their students and then had to respond to the school before the police did. And now, Woonsocket's Finest is not going to cause a problem like that, but it still creates distrust in the system. And finally, keyboard warriors. In the absence of official information being quicker than the keyboard warriors, misinformation spreads and sows distrust that doesn't belong in a partnership between families and schools. The incident with Coleman Elementary highlighted all of these all at once. An email went out. That email, according to parents, did not have enough information, which then caused the keyboard warriors to spread misinformation, which caused distrust and panic within our society, within our community. I myself have a military and police background, and I have extensive training in active shooter response and training people in active shooter response. So I myself was having concerns on what I would do if something would happen. Before I had a chance to come up with that plan, I received a notification through one of my apps on my phone from my kid's school that said, hey, we are tracking the incident that's going on at Coleman. We have no reason to believe that there's any threat to the school. However, through an abundance of caution, here are all the security things that we are adding to security to make you feel like your scholars are safe. Immediately, even though I realized that I had been manipulated by social media, also positively manipulated by an app because I received information faster than social media could give it to me with security enhancements that were going to help out. That app was Parent Square. Now, One of the reasons why I wanted to pitch Parrot Square is because, like I said before, millennials speak through young millennials and Gen Z speak through apps. They don't get their information from www.cnn.com or foxnews.com. They get it from an app that pushes that information to them. They don't talk to people through the phone or through text messages. They talk through apps. And like I said, for whatever reason, they don't like email, so they're not paying attention to their email. Parent Square allows direct communication between parents and teachers. I get daily updates about my son. I get to see where my son's progress is and where he is failing, and recommendations from the teacher on how I can be a better parent and be more involved in his schooling. Additionally, I see when his behavior is not correct, and when he comes home, I can have a talk with him about his behavior, his report cards, everything. Direct communication with administrators, with teachers, all of that comes through there. The Yonder Pouch and school safety issue. Like I said, immediate notifications. You don't have to call everybody. You don't have to have anyone send out an email. One person can have a direct access to everybody all at once. Situations where there's a lockdown at the high school and misinformation goes rampant, instead of that misinformation, we could easily push out a notification that is, hey, yes, there's a lockdown at the high school. It is a medical emergency.
Just to remind you, you have 1 minute left.
There's no reason to go through concerns with all that. There is funding requirements for that. However, I did look through a lot of research on that funding. The Every Student Succeeds Act has several different titles within it. I have the data as well as how all Woonsocket schools can get that information. In addition, IDEA, one of the topics that we discussed after the last meeting was parents not being involved in their IEPs and special education issues. It has software built into that where parents can communicate with teachers and follow a roadmap for that. So IDEA funds will pay for that as well. And we were talking about it, chronic attendance. There are state funds available for apps that will help improve chronic attendance issues.
It's time to wrap it up, sir.
Okay, I'll wrap it up real quick. I am already meeting with the director of RISE, as well as I'm trying to set up a meeting with the Providence School District because they already use Parent Square on how they've crafted their funding and got funding for their schools, so that it is something that we do not have to pay for. It is something that can be paid for to improve schools and increase trust in the system, parental involvement, as well as fighting misinformation online. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to address the school committee this evening?
Hi, my name is Milagros Mercado, and I'm
Would you
here.
please speak into the mic? I can't hear you.
Hi, my name is Milagros Mercado, and I'm here because supporting my son. I work at a high school. I've been working there for 6 years already, 4 years with Chartwells and 2 years with Sedesco and 2 years with Chartwells. On March 4th, I clocked out of work waiting for my son outside. He comes inside the truck. I'm nervous. He comes inside the truck and tells me, "Hey, Mom, I had an issue with a teacher." I said, "Okay, what was the issue?" He said, "The teacher is suspending me and writing me up." I said, "For what?" She goes, "Because she's accusing me of something that I didn't do." I said, "Okay, what is it?" She's accused me of writing my name on the school door. I said, "Well, did you tell her the truth?" She goes, "Yeah." She asked me like 2 or 3 times, and I told her no. For me as a mother, if a teacher asks the student once or twice if he didn't do it, he didn't do it. She had to drop it there and then. Okay. As I get in my truck, turn it on and drive off, he tells me, "Mom, the teacher's right there." Okay, I park my truck, I get out. I didn't scream at this teacher. I just went up to her and asked her, "Is it okay for me to tell the teacher's name?"
No, you shouldn't.
Okay. This teacher, me and her talked nicely until she saw another teacher approaching us, walking towards us. Then she made a big scene outside the parking lot at the high school saying I was approaching her or something that happened in school today. As I went up to her to talk to her about the situation, she was nice to talk to me about it. We were nice talking at each other, and she did kind of yell at me and told me to look. I said, "Look at what?" She says, "Look." She literally took a picture of my son's signature and the written on the school door inside. And she said, "You're not going to tell me this is not your son's signature?" I said, "That's not my son's signature," as I have to back up because she almost hit me in my face with her phone. I said, "That's not my son's signature. I've been a mother for 17 years. And you're going to tell me that that's my son's signature when it's not?" Well, I'm going to make this short. To this day, I'm suspended without pay. Okay? Because Me as a mother, I'm always going to protect my boys. And throughout the whole school year, there's a lot of stuff going on that nobody listens. Nobody listens to the students and nobody listens to the parents. Everybody wants to listen to the teachers, whatever they got to say. But what about us? Our word counts too. And as I went inside the school to file a report with the assistant principal, I guess my word doesn't count because this happened March 4th. It's going to be almost a month already, and nothing got resolved. I keep calling the school to get the report that I made with assistant principal. They're ignoring me. This teacher filed a police report against me. I've been calling the police station for the report. I guess the investigation is still under, and I'm suspended without pay. Me as a parent, I'm always going to protect my kids, but it's not fair. Who's going to listen to the students? Who's going to listen to the parents? My son Angel, when he was at Villa, in 8th grade, a teacher put her hands on my son's wrist. I went to the police station, tried to put charges. I couldn't press charges because the superintendent's office was taking care of it. Did what? Nothing. They brushed it off and ignored it. What else is going to happen in the school years? That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Thomas, and I have been here a few times before. There was an email that I had wrote to the school board along with the superintendent expressing my concerns about the pouches that were, that the children have to use for their cell phones. And I have expressed my emotions about those pouches. It's the wrong time for them. Because there's so many fights going on at the high school. How are the parents supposed to get a hold of their children if anything should ever happen? God forbid, if anything should ever happen to their children. The pouches are not a good idea as of right now. With so many fights going on at the school, come to find out that the back door of the high school was unlocked. So you're telling me that that the pouches are a good idea as of right now, knowing that there was a man outside of one of the junior high schools walking around the school with a gun. You have so many fights going on at the high school, but the pouches are a good idea as of right now. I don't understand, why is it, that these children's voices are not being heard? When it comes down to the teachers, they are not being held accountable for their actions. And I can only speak about what I have experienced at Villanova with my own child. The only reason why anything had gotten done, at Villanova was because of the dean of students. She stepped in. But if I didn't report that, nothing would have happened. My daughter would have been suspended because of what the teacher had said. And the teacher, his report was wrong. And it's heartbreaking that you have so many children at the high school, at these elementary schools, at the junior high schools. They are crying out for help in their own way, but no one is listening. But y'all still think that the pouches are the way to go. It's heartbreaking. I feel bad for these children. I feel bad for these children. They are crying out for help. They may not know on how to voice it, so some of them, what they do, they go into fights. They curse people out. They steal. They jump people. Have we thought about, maybe they are in need of love, some kind of counseling, some kind of help, but to arrest them and have them put in jail or whatever the case may be. These children need help, not to be thrown in jail. They need mental help, emotional help. And they are crying out for help. Arresting these children is not helping. It's only making the matters worse.
Ma'am, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. It's only making the matters worse. Some of these children, don't have the love at home. And then they come into a school where the teachers are just showing them the same exact attention that their parents do at home, a lack of care, love, respect. But respect is a two-way street. And the children deserve respect as well, not just the teachers and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to address the school committee this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Savannah Cosby, 2nd Ave.
Would you please speak into the mic? Can't hear you. Thank you.
Sorry, Savannah Cosby, 2nd Ave. I'm here. I have a high schooler who came from, actually, we transplanted. We're originally from Boston, and we moved here to buy property because we saw Woonsocket as a great opportunity and a great investment for my daughter's future. And I have to say, there are things that are frustrating as a parent. So I'd like to bring up trying to find more resources for the high school. There were resources I found out by accident by going to a meeting the principal had there, and only 3 parents showed up, which kind of was heartbreaking. But there's not communication to some of the points of other parents that I don't find out about stuff. I find out after the fact. Oh, an email. Okay, what happened? And the communication isn't as strong as I wish it would be. And same for the schools. Like I believe we only have 1 grant writer for our entire district, which is really concerning. I hope we can get like an intern, somebody, we have colleges here that we can tap into to hopefully find some of the resources like mental health for the kids in all grades, not just one. But I see the high school, same like the other parents, they seem to be crying out for help. I equally agree that setting our children up for records, and again, I don't know all the data, what happens for these kids, but I do know it's expensive to send them out and ship them out of our district when some of these kids are capable. I happen to have a quiet child who goes to school and is like, Mom, I don't understand what's going on. But I also, like other parents, I want to help, but don't know how. I can try and drag neighbors along. Hey, come to these meetings, but I don't know where our district needs help. Because even if I, as a parent also at the high school, have to fight tooth and nail, and I was equally concerned about Yonder pouches. It's not my first go around with Yonder. I actually have conflicted feelings about them because of the way things are handled here in Woonsocket versus how they were in Boston. And I know 2 very different cities, 2 very different things that are going on, but I've seen growth in cities in Boston and underperforming schools and districts. And I feel Woonsocket can absolutely be a great performing school, but we just have to all come together. I don't have the answers. I want to appear and say, like, I want to help, but communication and finding some alternate way to get information out to us parents would be helpful. I'll look at the emails, I'll go on district websites, but my main concern originally with the Yonder pouches, my daughter had a medical condition that basically meant if she was in pain, I needed to bring her to the ER. I could not get in touch with the school nurse. And I actually work in the medical field. So I said, let me call the school nurse. Let me talk to an adult. So we don't have a child, a high schooler in pain that's like, oh, you're playing bluff. You're trying to get out of class. No, adult. So I couldn't get through. 2 voicemails. I physically had to show up to the school and set a meeting and say, hey, hi, don't ignore me, please. I need some communication. And then to get to the nurse, hey, I left you 2 voicemails. Oh, okay, well, I'll put a note. My daughter actually had surgery to correct what she needed, but I couldn't get through an adult and just got brushed off. And with the implementation of Yonder pouches, that was something very concerning. I could not get in touch with an adult at the school to say, hey, this is emergent. We don't pass go. It's not a call home, mom picks you up. That is an immediate trip to the emergency department. That has now since been fixed, but even there's issues where I don't even get the emails from districts sometimes. Same thing, I had to pop up to the school. Hi, hello, I'm not getting them. How do I get back on the list? Here I am, a parent trying to be involved and trying to help, and I'm not getting answers. And to no one's fault. I understand I have 1 out of 1,400 students, 1,500 students at the high school alone. It's not a fix-all. It's not a catch-all. But I found Yonder pouches on the street in our neighborhoods, which means they're not being implemented the right way. It seems like the kids kind of—
Ma'am, you have 1 minute.
them.
1 minute.
Understood.
Thank you.
They can unlock them. So we need to do better at the implementation of Yonder. We need to increase our communications to parents and not just an email that sometimes goes through, sometimes does not. And IEP involvement, we do need to get parents involved. I've gone to my own daughter's IEP and had to advocate and set follow-up meetings because the IEPs are not being followed. And have said, hey, what do I need to do? Have had teachers make comments about, I don't know why I teach you kids, to a group of 15-year-olds. So I'm just very concerned and would love to help in any way I can because I believe our community can do better. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to address the school committee this evening?
Hello, my name is Cortland. I wrote something because something happened to me today while
Excuse me, I
was-
can't hear you. Maybe you
I'm
must
so
speak a little
sorry.
louder. Thank you.
So sorry about that. Considering the large number of students at Pothier and Citizens, wouldn't it make sense to hire crowd control, just as you would for a concert or for Autumn Fest? With 700 to 800 students, traffic congestion and road rage are significant concerns. Calculations indicate that 1 traffic control officer is required for every 50 people. And the sight of parents yelling and kids watching is very unsettling. And as a role of role models, it's essential that we prioritize our children's safety. So when crossing guard is present, all cars should come to a stop. Our children's well-being is our top priority, and we must take all necessary measures to protect them. I hope we can find a solution, such as granting crossing guards more authority or hiring traffic officers to assist. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to address the school committee?
Hi, Charlene Boucher, Steve Lopes Way. I know not a lot of parents attend these committee meetings, and I'm just wondering why Zoom links or whatnot, hybrid options are not offered. A lot of parents work, they have dinner, other commitments, young kids, whatnot. Everyone's busy, I understand, but you might have a lot more attendance if you offered a virtual way to attend. And that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
There's some kids over there. Just tell her.
Good evening, members of the school committee, Dr. McGee, and admin team members. I want to start with a simple question. How often
Could we
do
have your
Woonsocket
name and
students-
your address? Can't hear
Yes.
you.
Eliana Louise Jean for FBLA.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to start with a simple question. How often do students from Woonsocket get the chance to compete nationally? My name is Eliana Luz Jean, a driven leader and above all, a student. I'm here as the president of Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA for short. We are part of the largest national student business organization. We've been empowered to the future leaders through education, innovation, and community. Since October, we've been hard at work preparing to qualify for the national leadership competition happening in San Antonio, Texas, hoping to represent Woonsocket and Rhode Island at the national stage. Our success even caught the eyes of the attention of the local newspaper, the Valley Breeze, who interviewed us last week about the work we've done and the momentum we're building. This recognition wasn't just a spotlight on our chapter, it was a spotlight on all of Woonsocket. There are 4 students in this chapter of FBLA who are both ready and willing to compete in Texas. My chapter is working towards a fundraising goal of $6,000 and welcome the support of the community and this committee. With our community's help, we can continue to gracefully put Woonsocket on the map through representation. Tonight, I'd like to introduce 2 of our standout members, Melody Robinson and Melissa Celestino, who have all been instrumental in this year's journey. Our advisor, Mrs. Croft, who couldn't be here this evening, has asked us to thank you, all of you, for your continued support and opportunity you've helped create for our students. This year's theme is Make Your Mark, and that's exactly what we intend to do as we pave the way for students in our city. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your belief in what students like us can achieve. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Great job. Love it. Is there anyone else?
Sue. And I'm going to speak after her, Paul.
Good evening. Susan DeRiso, 9 Henry Drive, Barrington, Rhode Island. I'm also the Director of Literacy and Title I. I wanted to share a message with the school committee, my team, administrators, teachers, families, and friends. 37 years ago, I began my teaching career in Warren, Rhode Island. And no, there were no horse and buggies, but I did experience the joy of mimeograph machines and avoiding the smoking section in the teacher's room. I walked into education with a heart wide open and the simple belief that somehow, in some way, I could make a difference. Since then, I've had the extraordinary privilege of serving as a classroom teacher, a reading specialist, and director of my lifelong love, literacy. Each role shaped me, stretched me, and taught me more than I could ever imagine. But as meaningful as those roles were, it's the people who have shaped the person that I am today. After 27 years in Cranston Public Schools, a certain superintendent, we'll call him Chloe Cat, offered me the opportunity to come to Woonsocket. Leaving Cranston was one of the most difficult professional decisions of my life. It was home, it was comfortable, it was family. Little did I know I was about to make the best career decision of my life. Woonsocket welcomed me with open arms. Here I joined a team that values collaboration, integrity, and laughter. I've worked alongside the hardest working teachers in this state. That's not an exaggeration. If you teach here, you are indeed a rock star. The dedication I have witnessed in these classrooms is nothing short of inspiring. I was also fortunate to lead an exceptional group of interventionists, coaches, coordinators. To say I am continually amazed by the difference they make for our students in schools, that would be an understatement. These individuals consistently go above and beyond to meet the needs of every learner. In 37 years, I've never experienced a more supportive school committee. These individuals give selfishly, and they lead with what truly is in the best interest of students. That kind of leadership matters more than anyone knows. Their willingness to dedicate countless hours to behind the scenes has had an incredible and long-lasting impact on our schools, our staff, and most importantly, our students. And next March 27th, I promise I will be wearing my vest. To my team, Angie, Rania, Dawn, Kelly, Kyle, Sharon, Al, and Brad. What an honor it has been. I love the way we've supported and challenged each other. I've watched you each strive for excellence and most importantly, make me laugh. I could use some right now. Brad, I have some good news. I made it out alive. My tombstone is no longer going to say, Brad did it. Al, after very careful consideration, there is a further review needed by Ernst & Young to determine if you've reached your points. To my sister directors, wow, we did it. I don't know how I would have survived without you. We've celebrated life's greatest joys and helped each other through the darkest days. You have most certainly left a permanent imprint on my heart. Sorry. And now for the man, the legend, the one who gave me the beautiful gift of joining this incredible team, Dr. Patrick McGee. My gratitude has no limits. Not many people get to get a glimpse behind the curtain of the Wizard of Wooney, but I have, and I can say without hesitation that no one gives more, cares more, or will go to greater lengths to make the Woonsocket Education Department the very best it can be. Your commitment to this community, its educators, and especially its children is beyond commendable. On a side note, Journey, Foreigner, Leave It to Beather, or Muskrat Love, I've got your back. I'm one phone call away. And finally, to my team behind the scenes, my family, thank you for believing in me, pushing me when I needed it, grounding me when I needed it, but most of all, loving me through every season of this amazing career. Mr. Chairman, I'm sure my 5 minutes are up, so I close simply, but sincerely. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for walking alongside me. Thank you for allowing me to serve. I came into this profession hoping I might make a difference. I leave it hoping in some way I did. Thank you.
Bravo! Bravo!
Where'd he go? Oh, he's doing his Elks thing?
Probably fishing derby, or you want to fish, right?
Yeah, fishing derby.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the school committee?
Yes. Good evening, Donald Burke, Edmund Street, Woonsocket. I am here tonight as a member of the Woonsocket Elks Lodge 850 because I'm announcing once again, it's that time of year for the Ernest A. Kerrigan Jr. Memorial Fishing Derby, which will be held April 11th at Cass Pond. All children 12 years and under are welcome to come. You will register right now at Pete's Bait and Tackle on Burnside Avenue or on the morning of the Fishing Derby. And we will serve you hot chocolate. We will serve you drinks, and we will serve you hot dogs, even at 6 o'clock in the morning. Special thanks to the Butcher Brothers for giving us those hot dogs. But so yes, once again, this will be my third fishing derby. We are hoping for good weather this year. Last year it snowed and it was 20 degrees. It was not fun. However, the children loved it. One little girl said, you know, it doesn't matter. any day to fish is a good day. And that's what she did. So please, children, in the elementary schools, in the middle schools up to the age of 12, please come down to the fishing derby this year. It's a lot of fun. The workers, we have a lot of fun, and the children have a lot of fun too. So hope to see you then. And thank you.
Thank you.
Should have said time's up.
Is there anyone else? Then we'll go on to recognitions and announcements. Dr. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mrs. DeRiso's comments are very, very tough act to follow. I just want to thank Sue for her amazing commitment, her dedication to the Woonsocket Education Department, to this community, to our students, to our staff, to our families. It's gone by fast, 10 years. It seems like just yesterday when I basically coerced her at a breakfast establishment to come to Woonsocket before she checked with her husband officially. But it seems like yesterday, and it's just been an honor and a pleasure to work with you here. Your 37 years in education is amazing, and you've touched many lives in a variety of districts and communities. And I just want to wish you all the best in your retirement. I will miss you, and we will miss you. Thank you, Sue.
Yep, thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman and committee members, I wanted to say a few words about our amazing students who are here this evening from our FBLA program here at Woonsocket High School. I'm incredibly proud to announce that Woonsocket High School made a very serious splash in the Future Business Leaders of America State Leadership Conference this past Thursday at JWU Downtown Campus. That's Johnson & Wales University. Our students brought their A game, and it showed, had an outstanding showing with winners across a variety of categories. Their hard work, professional polish, and competitive spirit truly set them apart from their competitors. The journey doesn't end here, as they mentioned a little while ago. Because of their stellar performances, our first and second place competitors have officially punched their tickets to the National Leadership Conference, which will be in San Antonio, Texas, June 28th through July 3rd. And we are very proud of all of our FBLA students and those who will be representing Woonsocket High School at the National Leadership Conference. So congratulations to our amazing students. We wish you all the best. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my recognitions and announcements this evening.
Thank you, Doctor.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah.
Good luck.
This evening, the minutes are not ready for our review. Oh, yeah, sure. I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the recognitions and announcements. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll go into the approval of minutes. They're not available for our review this evening, so I'll make a motion to table the March 11, 2026 closed meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to table the March 11th, 2026 open meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Thank you. Next, we'll go into the consent agenda, so I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Does anybody want to take any item out of the consent agenda to discuss any further?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Yes. Vice Chair Burke?
Just I want to bring to everybody's attention the cost of transportation that we had to provide for 3 students from Woonsocket to Fall River for several weeks. All right? The cost was $55,000. That's a lot of money. And we had to do it. I'm not questioning our need to do it, but transportation costs are unbelievable. And I really think that should be pointed out that those are the things and the financial burdens that we do have in this district. And the second point I want to make too is why did we need those emergency dehumidifiers? They're all emergency humidifiers. Why don't we not have them? Why do we need them? And
we have them placed strategically in the district where there's areas where the HVAC either is malfunctioning and they had to go in and do a repair, and until the parts could come in, they have to keep a certain temperature because we want to avoid any type of concerns in terms of mold or mildew. Several of the buildings do not have HVAC, so to be frank, we've had them ongoing at Vernon Heights Elementary School for an extended period of time because there is active water underneath that school. So one of the commitments that the district has made is to ensure that we run them actively in several areas at Vernon Heights Elementary School, in the gymnasium, several classroom areas, in addition to other steps that we take, because if you were to go into the basement of that building, it is actually crushed stone and sand, and you can actively hear water because it's slate. The school is built on slate. It was probably a very poor decision at the time. As a matter of fact, I recently was in the basement doing a periodic inspection with the facility staff. So as a result of those types of scenarios, that's what we often do. If there are leaks in a roof in a particular area, we like to run those units in that particular area because even though we change out the ceiling tiles and wipe down the walls, we like to do that as a precaution so that we don't have any mold or mildew or anything like that affecting in our schools. As I'm sure you're aware, Vice Chairman, we have significant capital needs with our roofs. And one of the things we do here in Woonsocket is that aside from trying to change out the ceiling tiles as quickly as possible after a rainstorm and trying to patch as best we can in-house, and you heard the concerns at Globe Park, this is one of the other things that we do here proactively to make sure that we keep things in check.
And this is continuing even now?
It does continue even till now. I think you're going to see a reduction of that as we close several of the older schools and reopen the new elementary school. Further to that, hopefully in the future, there's additional funding comes our way to address the roofs here at the 2 middle schools and the aging HVAC units. Because you may recall, while we were able to replace the controls in the building, which are the thermostats in the room, the units on the roof themselves were not replaced during that project a couple of years ago. Those are the existing units, and they do break down often.
And just quickly, sort of related, do we still have air refreshers in the classrooms like we did during COVID?
We do not. We do have them stored in case we do need to use them, but we are not using those presently in the classrooms.
Okay, thank you.
It's limited.
Well said.
Anyone else? Mrs. Kapiskas.
If I may follow up on that, I have to presume that to some degree, one of the things that's contributing to that, especially at Vernon, is a significant snowfall that we had, followed by a significant quick melt, and all these schools are flat roofs. Was that a contributing factor? I realize it might have been an existing problem, but did that worsen an already existing problem?
The 2 significant snowstorms back to back, and then the rapid melting have contributed to a situation where our facility staff is in overdrive in terms of trying to make first clearing the snow, then once the snowstorms abated, going onto the roofs to clear out snow so there are no structural issues. So that was the second priority right after the snow was removed from the parking lots. And now we are at this third leg of the situation, which is now we need to go onto the roofs, hoping for a consistently warm and dry weather pattern so that we can try and find out where the leaks are and use Flex Seal, which is what you see on the commercials, to try and patch what we can. Particular to Vernon Heights Elementary School, one part of the roof is a flat rubber membrane. It's not the oldest portion of the roof, but it's an older part of the roof. But the oldest part of the roof where we're seeing many of the leaks, there is gravel. So It's not just a flat rubber membrane where you go up and look to see if there's tears or not. You actually have to sweep back the gravel to try and find where the leak is. So it's a challenge, and I think it's worth noting our facility staff work extra hard in trying to do all of these things, but they are limited. There are 9 members of the facility staff, and that's to handle all the issues in all 12 buildings. And right now they're trying to focus on this, but at the same time continue to make sure heat's working in the morning, and then trying to do, fix the roof. And then we have to rely on our custodians to make sure they're swapping out the ceiling tiles as quickly as possible, while also being cognizant of the fact that we do have a budget. Budget's getting tight. Thankfully, the overtime has continued to be authorized for this group of individuals. But when you work 12-hour days, day in and day out over a period of time, at some point there is a factor of trying to be able to keep up with everything.
Thank you, Mr. Noriani.
Anyone else? Then I'll make Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, we'll go into communications, and we don't have a student rep report. Strategic plan, Dr. McGee.
I'm going to
Dr. Holt?
refer to Dr. Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe we're going to discuss this further in the Curriculum Subcommittee's report out, but we have updated our strategic plan, the 4 pillars. We have 4 distinct pillars in the district, and we have updated all 4 pillars and have new goals, and we'll go into each of those during the curriculum update.
Okay, very well. Now make a motion to receive, place on file communications. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Dr. McGee, may we have your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will start with a personnel update, as I usually do. We currently have 14 paraprofessional positions that are vacant. We have 3 teaching positions across the district that are vacant, and we have 2 custodian positions that are vacant across the district. Perfect attendance. Each committee member has a spreadsheet with each of our schools by month. I'm going to refer February, the month of February, perfect attendance. I'll list the school and I'll list the number of students with perfect attendance. Actually, as I'm looking at this and as you see it on your screen, many of the schools actually increased the number of students from January to February who had perfect attendance. So I'm going to start with Vernon Heights. 151 students had perfect attendance, and that's out of 375 students enrolled. Coleman Elementary, 143 students with perfect attendance out of 276 enrolled. Globe Park, 171 students with perfect attendance out of 501 who were enrolled. Harris Elementary, 102 with perfect attendance, 333 students enrolled. Pothier Citizens Campus, 324 students with perfect attendance, 712 enrolled on the campus. Leo Savoy Elementary, 140 students with perfect attendance out of 334 enrolled. Hamlet Middle School, 141 students with perfect attendance out of 515 students who are enrolled. Villanova Middle School, 175 students with perfect attendance out of 576. And the high school and career center, 603 students with perfect attendance out of 1,430. So I want to commend the students, number one, who had perfect attendance. I also want to commend beyond students who demonstrate the perfect attendance. There are many, many more students with improved attendance. I want to also recognize their efforts and the family's efforts as well. And lastly, I want to recognize the efforts, as we saw this evening with Ms. Renegaldo, explaining to everyone what Hamlet Middle School does to support students in their attendance, just all of the different types of programs and interventions and and outreach that our attendance teams do, our staff and our administrators. It certainly is showing with this number of students who had perfect attendance for the month of February. The next item I'd like to discuss, climate security, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Yonder Pouch implementation. I'm kind of giving the committee an update each school committee meeting. I'll just give you some examples of things I've seen, and I have spoken to parents over the last couple of weeks, and just teachers that I've spoken to. I do notice, and while there may not be every student putting their phone in their Yonder Pouch, I can tell you, in walking through the middle schools and the high school, I don't see students on their phones. Now, does that mean that again, that it's 100% no? But if the committee recalls, when we first, months ago, when we first explored the option of using Yonder Pouches, and we went out to other high schools and middle schools, the comment that we heard from administrators and staff at those buildings in other communities were that they don't expect 100% of the pouches to be used, but if the phones are not visible, if they're not out in classrooms, if they're not out in the hallway, then that's considered a success. And I think we all agreed that Woonsocket would be no different. I can tell you, I was at the high school today for the unified basketball game against Central Falls, and the stands were packed, both sides, with students, and I didn't see cell phones. If prior to this implementation, I can tell you that what we would have seen would have been students on their cell phones, not actually actively engaging in watching the game. And it was pretty impressive to see a packed gymnasium cheering for our unified basketball student athletes and not preoccupied with their phones. So I've also spoken to teachers. I spoke with a veteran teacher at the high school today who said this is the first time she doesn't have to argue and try to convince students in her class to put their phones away. They're not taking them out because they're either keeping them away or they're in the Yonder Pouch. So I can tell you, I'm sure that there are people out there that might have other other thoughts, but I can tell you from who I talk to and what I see, it has been a success. And we actually have the representatives from Yonder coming out on April 14th and 15th. It's part of the service commitment that they have for our district. Is if you recall, when we first implemented, prior to that, they came out, they observed where we were looking to situate the magnets when students came into the building, where the pouches would be checked, and upon dismissal, where they would be going. So they're coming out again to basically look to see how things are going. So they come for 2 days, they observe both the high school and the middle schools, they observe arrival and dismissal, and then they provide us with feedback based off of what they see. I can tell you, with respect to climate and security, I will say, I know that there have been some concerns about communication, and I believe, and again, in speaking with other districts who have implemented the Yonder Pouch, there's sometimes concerns that students can't contact parents. That makes it more challenging because oftentimes false information goes out when students are calling family members. We do send out through School Messenger. We have a program where the administrator sends out a message. It might not be, and I've said this before, it might not be while it's happening, but they send out a message to update the families that there is a lockdown, there's a shelter in place. I would ask if there's anyone who does not receive those, please reach out to the building principal or assistant principal so that they know. Committee also is aware that I send out a weekly newsletter If you're not receiving my weekly newsletter, please notify my office, and we can add your email to that list. But those are the ways that we communicate here in the Woonsocket Education Department. The next item, redistricting update. So as the committee is aware, we have partnered with an organization called Transpar, which is a company that provides student transportation management, consulting, and advisory services to school districts. They assist school districts in optimizing safety around transportation, efficiency around transportation, and compliance. They're working with us. They're going to be working with us. We had our first meeting with them a couple of weeks ago to discuss things like redistricting, because when our new elementary school opens and we create the 5-6 upper elementary school and the 7-8 middle school, we are going to be redistricting. There are going to be a variety of things. The start and end times will change. So what we're doing is we're starting those meetings now. We actually do have parent representation on that advisory, and we're starting the process of establishing what that's going to look like in terms of what schools certain residences will within the community will attend. We're as I said, we're starting now. We will be continuing this work through the remainder of this school year, through the summer, with the goal of notifying families next year at some point in the fall what our plans are, so that families are given clear notification ahead of time, so that any changes that are made and will be made, they will be notified next year and won't be notified at the last minute. So that process has been a good process, and we're going to continue. I will be continuing to inform the committee and the community as we start to make more inroads on the partnership that we have with all of these moving pieces for the following year. Because as the committee and the community is aware, the new elementary school, the 5-6 upper elementary, and the 7-8 middle school are slated to open the 27-28 school year. So we have one more year, and then the following year is when those changes will be implemented. But again, we're going to share that information as we have information to share. So I'd be happy to answer any question the committee has at this time.
Just a couple of comments, Dr. McGee. On perfect attendance, when I looked at the February numbers, it's incredible that if you totaled up all the students that had perfect attendance against the total population of those schools, perfect attendance students made up 39% of all 5,000 students. That's incredible, in my opinion. And it was very similar in the prior months. So I think we're doing, the principals, the teachers are doing a great job there.
They are, and if you check the RIDE dashboard, which lists student attendance and chronic absence percentages, most of our schools have a very significant improvement over this time last year. And again, I know, because I see it and I hear it, that our staff work extremely hard to build relationships, our support staff, our teachers, our administrators, so that students want to come to school and that they feel as though school is a sanctuary for them. And they work very hard. And many of these students with perfect attendance, I would tend to guess that if you spoke to the principal, they may not have had perfect attendance prior, but those relationships that they build and the work that they put in really does make a difference in the lives of our students and our families. And, you know, those that don't have perfect attendance, those who are chronically absent, our schools are working very hard to try to support them so that they attend school regularly.
The other comment I'd like to make is on the use of the Yonder pouches. We heard from our student representative at our last meeting that things are going very well. I mean, it was almost surprising in her voice that we're paying attention to our classmates, we're studying harder, we're finding time to actually listen. Teachers are now able to teach. And having bumped into some of our students outside of school and some of the parents, they've echoed the same feelings, that we thought this would be a failure. It's just the opposite. It's very contrary to some of the other districts, because I belong to, you know, the school committee chairs committee. And some of them have voiced that when they implemented the Yonder, it took almost a month before they reached the point where students were used to the phone, to put away their phones, and the parents. This happened with us immediately, and I think it's because of the planning that was done for months to get us ready to implement the use of those Yonder pouches. So things are going well.
They are, and you know, there's always an exception to the rule.
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, you're there. There are situations, I'm sure, that are happening, right? But I can tell you from what I see when I go into those schools, I don't see cell phones, and I don't think it's just because they see me walking down the hall. I really don't. I believe that you're right. It was in the preparation and the planning, and it's not perfect, but we're going to continue to evaluate, and we're going to continue to make changes if we see that we need to make changes. But I'm telling you, from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, it is having an impact in our classrooms and in our halls. Now, are fights still occurring occasionally? Yes, they are. I've never said the Yonder pouches were going to eliminate fights. I can tell you one thing that I'm not seeing is when there is a fight, you don't see 50 students with their phone out trying to videotape it. So, you know, it's not going to solve all of those problems, but it's going to go a long way in bringing back good old eye-to-eye contact, communication, engaging in one another, and I think that I think we're going to see improvements in teaching and learning, and I think we're going to see improvements in attendance as well.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chairman,
Ms. Costa?
I just want to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying as well. I've talked to a couple of students and parents myself, and I mean, I've heard students say, like, I've interacted with people I didn't even think I would interact with, you know, and they're getting to learn and know their peers. And I think it's really great. And the one comment that I heard, and I think this was the last school committee meeting that I thought was great, was that our lunchrooms are loud now, you know, and the way they should be, and it's not loud and obnoxious. It's loud because students are actually engaging with each other, talking to each other, getting to know each other, and being like, oh my God, I go to school with you and you live in my same neighborhood, you know, like, imagine what happens when you put the phones down, you know, and it makes the time go by a lot faster too, because you're actually learning, you're actually doing stuff with your time. So, I mean, I think it's really great. I mean, with some exceptions, you know, with the medical exceptions and stuff like that. Other than that, I haven't heard anything where this is a bad idea or where parents are pushing against it, because the comments that I've heard from parents are, well, my kids shouldn't have their phone in school while they're learning anyway. I can talk to them when school's done. If it's an emergency, I know how to contact the school. So I think it's a great.
I echo that. I mean, we've had great cooperation from families, and speaking with administrators, you know, when there are situations where a student does have a phone and they call the parent, you know, in many situations, the parent has gotten on the phone, spoken to their son or daughter, and said, look, put it away. And we appreciate that, right? Because this has to be a team effort.
Absolutely.
We can't do it alone. We have to have the cooperation of the families. And thus far, I think that I really I want to thank and applaud our families for supporting us.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Kepiscus? No? Okay. Anyone else? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the superintendent's report Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now we'll go into the school committee reports. Today, the finance subcommittee met at McPhee. The items that we covered will be covered in depth by Mr. Perrier. So at the finance committee meeting, we talked about the January 2026 fiscal review. We discussed the very preliminary fiscal 27 budget. We summarized the meeting that we had with the city of Woonsocket, and we talked about the the invoices that we have and new business for us regarding how we're going to handle that this evening. So these items are going to be discussed in detail, so there's no need to do it here unless there's any questions. We can do it later on, Mr. Perry. If
The only thing that I'd like to mention is talk about the FY27 budget conversation we had a little bit. That's nowhere else in the meeting agenda.
Okay.
As far as the fiscal year 27 budget goes, the finance office took a look at the major adjustments that we're going to have to make year over year as far as the budget goes. This is just the first step in our budget analysis. But we wanted to get an idea of really what we're looking at year over year as far as changes to revenues and changes to expenditures on the larger side. The bigger adjustments that we're going to have to make as far as the budget goes next year. And to summarize that quickly, overall, we will be losing state aid next year, the way things are looking. And we're also going to be having to make some other adjustments on revenue. The bottom line is we'll be losing about $1 million in revenue going into next year. This is my first year in the 12 years I've been doing this that state aid is actually slated to go down. And this is going to be a very troubling thing for the Woonsocket Education Department next year. When you couple that loss of almost $1 million in revenue, we're actually looking at about $4.8 million in additional budgetary expenses that we're going to need to add. This goes from contractual obligations for our unions across to some adjustments as far as transportation goes. We've seen a very high uptick in statewide transportation, and we're also going to have to make some changes to tuitions and what we had encumbered there. Out-of-district tuitions, charter school tuitions, and private school tuitions. Overall, we're looking at about $4.8 million in additional expense. And when you couple that with the loss in revenue, we're looking at about $5.7 million we're going to need to cut out of our budget next year. And to give you an overall idea, our overall general fund budget currently is $115 million. So we're going to be a little below $110 million as a starting point right now. And that represents a little over 5% of our entire general fund budget. That's what we're going to be looking at as we move into next fiscal year. And to kind of put a value on that $5.7 million, if you have a top step 951 employee with family medical, it's about 40 FTEs we're looking at going into next fiscal year. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily lose 40 FTEs. We will. The administration has already begun to look at the budget from top to bottom to see where things can be tightened up. But quite frankly, we're not in a position where we can afford to lose $5.7 million. We are already underfunded and understaffed to begin with. And the fact that now we're going to have to deal with a $5.7 million loss in funding next year with that additional costs and the loss in revenue, it's going to be very difficult, a very, very difficult year for the Woonsocket Education Department for fiscal year 27. The finance office is going to do their best to balance the budget. That is the charge of the finance office. But everybody is going to be feeling the pain as we go into fiscal year 27. Across the board, top to bottom. We will turn over all the rocks. We will look through everything, and we will put together the best budget that we can while remaining balanced, because that is my charge. That is the Rhode Island state law. I need to provide you with a balanced budget. I believe the next month is going to be very uncomfortable as we start to delve into this, but we will put together our best budget, and we will be presenting that to you at the end of April.
And this budget is going to be conservative. We are not inflating revenues based on maybe we'll get funds. We're going to work with funds that we actually get. So if there's an improvement at all in the budget, it's going to be after we submit the budget to the city council at some point. So this budget is a work in process, and we're going to be looking at it from a finance committee, which then will come to the school committee. So
Yes,
like I
that's correct,
said,
Mr.
it's
Chair.
not news.
We will be looking at the revenue estimates we have on file right now.
Yep.
We don't know what's going to happen in June when legislation gets together. I'm very hopeful that some things will be added back, that potentially the state aid will be added. Potentially there'll be some relief as far as statewide transportation goes, but we cannot assume that that is going to get done in June. We made that assumption last year and things didn't happen, and that's why we're in deficit this fiscal year. Luckily, we had fund balance and we were able to kind of overcome that because we knew we had some money in the bank. We don't have that luxury going in the next fiscal year. So hopefully when June rolls around and the state budget is passed, maybe we'll have some good news and we'll be able to go back and add some things in. But unfortunately, the timeline requires that I have a budget to the city council by May 1st. And unfortunately, we will not have any of these additional answers until after then. So we need to move forward with the budget, the information that we have, and we'll construct the budget that way. As always, the work never stops on the budget. We'll continue to work on it. If we get new information in June, we will work on it over the summer, and we will bring that back to you for any adjustments that will happen going forward. Working on the budget's a full-time thing. It's never really done. You're never really done working on it. So as things develop, we'll certainly keep the school committee involved and well informed as to what's happening. But let's be honest, even if things do turn out well for us in June, we're still going to be looking at cuts. I think really that's the takeaway here. That really there's going to be no silver bullet to bail us out as we go into fiscal year 27.
Any other comments or questions? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the Finance Subcommittee report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Leclerc, Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Then I'll ask Vice Chair Burke and Mrs. Costa if you give us the Technology Subcommittee report.
Mrs. Costa's going to take over here.
Wonderful.
All right. So we had our meeting on, I forgot, I wrote the date down. Was this
April
past Thursday,
28th.
April 28th. The conversion from Skyward to Power School is in process. Each director is taking the lead for their module. Al Notarani, Carolyn Gerard, and Amanda Reyna are all on data teams, along with faculty and staff from the district schools. There are concerns about the accuracy of our current data in Skyward, which needs to be cleaned up for both state reporting and the conversion to Power School. The data team has already cleaned up the following: enrollment records with particular emphasis on the Woonsocket High School graduation data and the attendance data at secondary schools. The data team is currently working on parent-guardian data, as this is both a communication and safety concern because the data input at the building level is not accurate and there are concerns. If our parent-guardian data is wrong, we could possibly release a student to an individual that is not authorized to release them. Also, our superintendent and the building principals are not able to reach all parents/guardians with robocalls, emails, and potentially text messages. Another concern is that if the building staff are not responsive to the data team sending out required corrections, we may not be able to convert to Power School for July 1st, which would force the district to incur the renewal cost for Skyward. We are trying hard not to have to renew Skyward, but this effort is not possible without the building principals and secretaries prioritizing the data. Building secretaries and principals have access to a Google folder with directions on how to enter the data, but we are still experiencing issues. The telephone, intercom, clock, and bell system project are underway at all schools that will remain open after the city school construction completion. We have internal telephones working at the high school and at Hamlet Middle School. The intercom systems are working at the high school, Korea Tech, and Pothier Elementary. Anticipate finishing the project by the end of the school year, which would be on time and on budget. The number of work orders, we have 58 technical and 20 data. We have significant damage to student Chromebooks. The building admins and secretaries are not following the established protocols or procedures, which has resulted in concerns for having enough devices for our students for state assessments. Parents and/or guardians are not being invited to a meeting are not being invited to a meeting in person to see the actual damages and present an invoice so they know of the cost to repair the damage. There was a discussion on the money owed to the district. There is a process for damaged equipment that belongs to the staff and that is handled by the HR department. The tech team has placed Chromebooks on carts and facilities will move them to buildings to help make up for the lack of access. The tech department will make sure that we can complete testing, but concerns are making it difficult. Security camera repairs at the middle school will happen as we near the end of the telephone, intercom, bell, and clock project. The district staff are installing the cameras and it is going to take some time. All of the cameras are in along with the licenses. And that was the conclusion of our meeting and it adjourned at 5:02 PM, I believe. And our next meeting date is to be determined.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the technology subcommittee update. Do we have a second?
Good job.
Second.
Second, by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mrs. Kepiscus, would you give us the curriculum subcommittee report?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Woonsocket School Committee's Curriculum Subcommittee met on March 16th at 3:30. After approval of the minutes of our prior meeting from January, we reviewed the revised strategic plan. And to this, I don't often get to do this. I'm going to defer to Dr. Holt and let her present on that.
Thank you, Ms. Kepiscus. It's my pleasure to report out on the updates to the strategic plan. Recently, the district has worked through workshops to revise our district strategic plan. We have 4 pillars within our plan. The first pillar is teaching and learning. Within that pillar, we are looking at both our ELA and math scores and looking to increase proficiency for students in ELA from 12 to 18% and increase proficiencies in math from 10 to 16. This is an inclusive number, including RICAST, DLM, and PSAT, SAT. So it's including all of the assessments for ELA and math. But just importantly, we're also looking to close the gaps for our students who have been identified as having disabilities or our MLL learners, our multilingual learners. So we have robust indicators for closing those gaps as well. Some methods for us to address the achievement gaps is continued progress monitoring and looking at instructional coherence across all classrooms so that in every classroom, the use of high quality curriculum materials is aligned with best practices of MOI and increased student performance. Our second pillar is on attendance and climate. This pillar, as we heard from Ms. Renegaldo earlier, attendance is a strong focus for the district, and we've been working to reduce chronic absenteeism overall for the district from 41% down to 35%. And as Dr. McGee shared in his report, we are making progress towards lowering our chronic absenteeism, and we also are seeing an increase in our daily attendance rate. Those are 2 separate indicators on student attendance. So one is, do we have students who have been chronically absent or on pace to be chronically absent? That definition means that they've missed more than 10% of the school year. So in total, it would be 18 days. So we're looking at students, if we're at 70 days into the school year, have you missed more than 7? Because that would be 10%. So we're tracking both, are you on pace to be chronic and how many students are attending every single day in the school. So at the same time that we want to ensure students are coming to school, one way that we're looking at doing this is increasing our students' positive perception about school climate in the schools. We use an indicator from a yearly SurveyWorks survey that goes out. It's actually, I think it was open or still open right now, I believe, and families could log in to SurveyWorks. Your building administrator, the principal from your school would have sent out an email with a link, and families can log in and still complete the survey. And we're hoping to increase the positive perception. Last school year for the 2025 survey, we had a 35% response from students about feeling positive about their school. And our goal is to increase that to 45% of our students reporting feeling favorable or positive about school. We've also increased our SEL, or social emotional learning supports in our schools. Mr. Quadros has been working with a district leadership team for attendance and helping to coordinate tiered attendance teams in each of the school buildings. Some of the other things that we're trying to do with attendance, I'm sorry, I'm switching to pillar 3, not anymore with attendance. I'm switching to pillar 3, which is family engagement. I apologize. Family engagement is another piece of our attendance priority, where we're looking to bring families to be more engaged in the schools. Some of the things that we have been doing with this is asking schools to offer more family events in their school. Is something that we've tried to increase since COVID has been over, and having more opportunities for schools to come in and celebrate their students and the work that they're doing in their school. We've been working, Ms. Aguilla has been working diligently to try to find ways to increase the number of languages that we are sending out our materials home to families. We do have this amazing copy machine at the high school, at the McPhee building, that can take documents and translate it and print it out, translated for us. So that's another tool that we're using to increase how we communicate with families. And the last pillar is finance, human resource, and facilities. And we are working to increase our workforce and the systems that we have to bring in and recruit new educators into the district, and also to retain new recruits so that they feel supported here in the schools. Ms. Kitchen has been working on finding new pathways to assist teachers to get certified in hard-to-fill areas, whether it's physics or chemistry at the high school, MLLs, and special education. Just working to try to find ways to make it easier for our educators to have those certifications, or to assist some of our family members in becoming paraprofessionals within our district. So we've been working to try to create new programs for paraprofessionals to become trained and take their assessment to be able to be a paraprofessional, or become a teacher from paraprofessional. So our TA to BA program, increasing our work base. So overall, we have been working at cleaning up our systems and making sure our systems and procedures are strong to attract, retain, and support all of our educators, and ensure that every day, every student in every classroom is able to engage in high-quality, rigorous instruction. So that concludes the summary of the strategic plan.
Don't leave the room. I'll be coming back to you.
Got it.
The next item we're going to discuss is the Title II audit. Dr. Holt advised that although we were initially dinged during this audit, we made a adjustment, and which is the next item on the agenda, that is satisfied, right? And as a result, our Title II is now approved for the next 5 years. Getting to the next item, there was a discussion and vote on the Professional Learning Advisory Board stakeholder membership in basically reinstituting a committee that previously exists. I'll read my notes, and if you want to supplement, go ahead, Dr. Holt. We are bringing back an advisory board composed of various stakeholders identified in the plan that you all have copies of attached to your agenda for tonight, to advise on what we need to offer for professional development in our district. The list in the policy is who should be included, but we are not punished if we cannot find volunteers to participate, because that is always an ongoing problem in the district. That is right, volunteers. We cannot offer payment to anyone for participating. Welcome to school department life. But we are able to offer teachers who are willing to participate PD hours in fulfillment of their mandatory hours under the collective bargaining agreement, but they do not count as PD hours toward your certification renewals. That particular item is actually on our agenda on new business tonight. I don't know if you'd want to address that now, Dr. Holt, or would prefer to address it then.
I can address it now if you would like, if the committee would like me to discuss it, and then you can vote on after. So as Ms. Kapiskis mentioned, we recently were audited for Title II. Every 5 years, the Department of Education reviews our federal fundings and looks at different titles. We were up for this year for Title II. Title II, if you recall, is for professional development. We do have about $5,600,000 within our Title II budget, and we want to ensure that we're still maintaining that budget and getting our level funded every school year to continue to provide quality professional development for our staff. There was one indicator where we had a little bit of work that we had to work on, and that is ensuring that all stakeholders are involved in the needs assessment and developing the professional development plan for the district. There are 9 stakeholder groups that the federal government asks us to ensure has voice and choice in the work that we're doing. And the PLAB advisory board actually was a board that the school committee and the district had 7 or 8 years ago, and during COVID, it ended up disbanding, and we stopped using that program. But we'd like to bring it back. So we have a group that will meet quarterly. There'll be 4 meetings each year. It's in the same cadence as the planning preparation for Title II, and when we need to submit the grant, when we need to do our needs assessment, when we need to do data review and analysis. That group would be giving, it would be a data feedback loop for us. They would make suggestions and offer considerations for any of the professional development that the district would like to bring in. It would include representatives from our teachers, from our administration, from our paraprofessionals, our district union, district leaders, community members if we're able to bring some community members in, and we've also had conversation about offering a seat at the table to higher education so that we can coordinate how our pre-service teachers are being trained and what we need there. And again, it would be 4 times a year. As you mentioned, there is no pay for this group. It is a volunteer group. Educators in the teachers union or paraprofessionals can use it for contractually obligated professional development, but it cannot be used for PLUs for the recertification. And that's basically it.
And I'd just like to add that as with regard to community members, this is a perfect opportunity for parents
Yes.
who used to come to my CLAC meetings and complain that your teachers didn't have any PD offered to them with regard to teaching students with autism, students who need AACs, that sort of thing. This is a perfect opportunity if you become a part of this board and indicate that there's a real need for that type of professional development to be offered in the district. Can't force anybody to take it, but we can at least make sure it's available. Again, that item is on our agenda later in new business. The next item on our agenda at curriculum was instructional empowerment model of instruction, which is a standing item. Dr. McGee and Dr. Holt reported back that they were very pleased to participate in a summit with EI in Tennessee and came back newly energized. They had made a connection to a district in Connecticut. We're very excited about meeting with them. Then we had a blizzard, so that didn't quite happen. The curriculum subcommittee's next meeting is May 18th, 2026. There are no meetings in April because of the break. It was just impossible to try to schedule something. So we will be meeting May 18th, 3:30, Woonsocket Middle School, Hamlet, 124 as usual. We adjourned an hour later at 5:05. And thank you for your help, Dr. Holt.
Thank you both.
Good job.
Any questions or comments? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the curriculum subcommittee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll go to the policy subcommittee update. Mrs. Kapiskis, Vice Chair Burke.
Mrs. Kapiskis, continue.
I'm just looking, something isn't on our agenda. I just realized it. Oh, it didn't make it to the agenda. That's why I don't think. Okay, Woonsocket School Committee Policy Subcommittee met on March 17th. Erin Gobra, St. Patrick's Day. We called the meeting to order at 4:14 after we approved the minutes from our prior meeting. We discussed the retention policy, which we had been discussing for 2 meetings. The focus was of the review of our policy was to add to the original draft language to cover RIDE's new promotion and doubt letters. These letters are designed to provide advanced notice to parents that their student's promotion to the next grade is in question, usually as a result of chronic absenteeism, which is affecting their assessments. There are essentially 2 bases for retention. The first is 10% absences plus underperformance and the prior year's RICAS, DLM, PSAT, SAT. And B, for grades K through 2 and 9 through 12, where no RICAS is taken, the MTSS team makes a team decision with the school's administrator taking the lead and with chronic absences as a factor in the team decision. Using this policy, 430 letters were sent out across the district in February, advising that the promotion of 430 students was in doubt due in part to chronic absences. They met both retention criteria. This does not mean that 430 students will be retained, we hope, but this way there's an opportunity for the student to turn around, at least with regard to the absence piece. The subcommittee's decision was to send the retention policy to the full school committee for discussion and approval, and that's what I was looking at. I don't see on the agenda, but I'm sure we'll catch up and it'll be on the next agenda. This would be a new policy, so it would require 2 passages. The next item we discussed was the McKinney-Vento Act, aka the homelessness policy. Dr. Holt said our policy was on the skimpy side. We needed to beef it up under RIDE and federal guidance. At present, we are implementing the interventions mandated by RIDE and the feds, but they're simply not incorporated into our policy. As a Title I audit by the feds is anticipated within the next year, this policy falls under Title I. We are trying to address the shortfalls now before we get dinged on an audit. The guidance directs us to refer to students experiencing homelessness as children and youth in transition, quote unquote. The subcommittee decided not to adopt this recommended language due to the fact that it may be inflammatory in the current political climate, and we will continue to refer to our students as children and youth experiencing homelessness in order to keep things politically calm. If we get dinged for that, I'll take the heat. Our decision was in light of the minimal nature of the discussion and the lack of a draft policy to review and discuss other than the current policy and RIDE sample policy. The homeless policy would be held and would be on our next policy subcommittee agenda. In addition to that, we will have proposed policies on food service procurement policies and drug/alcohol/weapon offenses policy. Our next policy subcommittee meeting, again, no meeting in April, will be May 12th, 2026, 4 p.m. Woonsocket Middle School at Hamlet, 124. The policy subcommittee meeting was adjourned in under an hour, which is unusual for us. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Kepiscus. Any questions, comments? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the policy subcommittee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll go into conferences and discussions. Mr. Perrier, would you give us the finance update?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the school committee this evening is the January 2026 fiscal update. Currently, the district is projecting a $231,000 surplus at this time. However, remember the school committee did approve a transfer of $1.97 million from our medical pooling account to stabilize revenue shortfalls for the fiscal year. When netted together, the district is actually more around looking at a $1.75 million deficit as of June 30th, 2026. As far as the revenues go, 4% increase asked for the city of Woonsocket for fiscal year 26 was only funded at $150,000. So led to a decrease in budgeted local revenues of $519,000. The 3% increase for the student success factor, which is a component of state funding, was not approved by the General Assembly in June. This led to a decrease in budgeted state revenues of $1.469 million. On the Medicaid side, due to higher than anticipated billings, we're currently over budget for Medicaid revenue by a little over $1 million. And I'm hopeful that that number will go up as we get closer to the close of the fiscal year. Overall, general revenue is projected to be over by a little over $1 million. On the expenditure side, all regular salaries are $2.5 million under budget at this time. And when netted with the employee turnover allowance of $1.35 million, this will put overall salaries $1.16 million under budget. Medical expenses are currently $2.26 million under budget. This projection has increased slightly by about $500,000 over the prior month's estimate. We will continue to monitor this going forward, as we always do. We keep a close eye on medical month to month. And as a reminder to the school committee, the district does have approximately $1 million in OPEB funding, not related to the $1.97 million that was transferred earlier. Overages and purchase services are due to us being unable to fill some budgeted salary positions. That's why you were seeing that surplus in our salary line right now. Finance office has adjusted salary encumbrances down to offset this hiring. Personal care attendants have been most difficult to fill this year, and this has led to an overage of about $1.4 million in our budget. Out-of-district tuitions are $373,000 over budget at this time. However, this has been decreased by $313,000 over the prior month's estimate. Special education department, Ms. Morell, Ms. Gerard, they've done a tremendous job getting the students the help that they need at the most cost-effective way we can get it as far as out-of-district tuitions go. Without the hard work that they've done, this could have been an even worse, and this would have been an even worse fiscal year as far as revenues and expenses go. So I'd like to commend their hard work, doing their best to control expenses. Transportation is currently $865,000 over budget, and this is due to higher than anticipated transportation costs for our out-of-district students. Even with the reduced number of students utilizing statewide transportation, costs continue to outpace the budget. A lot of the changes have not hit statewide transportation that the special ed department has made. I'm hoping to see some decrease in the bills as we go forward now that some changes have been made. Just to let you know, the December bill is the last bill that has been paid by statewide. So I know a lot of changes have happened after that. And I'm hopeful that as we get closer to the close of the fiscal year, we're going to be able to recoup some of the overage on that purchase order and drop that back down to our bottom line. District is currently $971,000 over budget at this time for tuitions to charter schools. This is due to the Woonsocket Education Department no longer qualifying for the additional clawback of funds from mayoral academies. This has increased the RISE prep payments from $500,000 to $1.4 million this year. That was one of the items that I kind of highlighted in our fiscal year 27 budget. That's an additional $1 million that we're going to have to add to our budget for fiscal year 27. Much like though the state revenue and maybe potential transportation changes, there is hope that that additional clawback will come back, but we're not going to know that until things are finalized in June. So like all the other changes, we'll take that into consideration when we see more information. At this time, any expenses related to technology and capital improvements are back in the general fund due to the transfer from the medical pooling account. If needed, these expenses can be moved to capital and technology funds. At this time, if the school committee has any questions, I can answer them now.
Any questions or comments? Thank you very much, Mr. Perrier. I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the finance update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Morrell, would you give us your special education report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of you, you have my report. I'd like to update on a couple things that have happened throughout the month. We've started our special education advisory meeting. Those are meetings that have come out of the focus groups that I've had with the self-contained teachers, resource teachers, speech pathologists, occupational therapists, and other various stakeholders throughout the district. We've had 2 meetings so far. First meeting, we reviewed all of the information that came from the focus groups. And the second meeting, we started on
priority areas. We have 3 different priority areas that we are going to be focusing on through the next coming months. The first one is the placement process and kind of tweaking how that goes from receiving an IEP services and going into self-contained, coming out of self-contained, and going out of district in different various needs of students. Programming, what our programming currently is, and if we need to make adjustments to it. And staff and training and support. So again, as Mrs. Kapiskas had stated earlier, there are some specific trainings that are coming out of these meetings that the teachers want or the parents feel that the teachers need. So hopefully we're able to put that together. So far it's been very positive. Fingers crossed it keeps going that way. The next, Dr. McGee made a mention to the fans in the stands. That was an amazing turnout today. The game was great. We had our unified dancers dancing at halftime. It was really, truly an amazing game to watch. We did win. And the fans and the students that were in the stands just cheered on both groups of players throughout the whole game. It was really, really, really encouraging to watch. The next thing I wanted to make mention too, it's not on the agenda, but earlier today, Mrs. DeRiso and I, with Brandy Anderson, Justin Otto, and Hannah Goodwin-Brown, we were asked to present to the cadre of coaches through RIDE and Bridge RI. We presented to the group of individuals across the state that are trying to revamp their MTSS supports in their own school districts. And since we revamped our MTSS programming so much in the last year and a half, RIDE wanted us to help other districts and give them tips and tricks on what we've been doing. So that was very positive turnout that we did earlier today.
Mr. Perrier, can we bill them for the?
As you notice on page 2 of the report, the layout of the information is slightly different. Mr. Notoriani helped with the numbers with his department to make it a little bit clearer of what we have currently. As of March 20th, there are a total of 1,410 students in our buildings from pre-K to grade 12 that we are providing services to. That is an increase of 28.1%. It makes sense that later on in the school year, as students have been going through MTSS and the referrals are starting to come in and students are now starting to become eligible, we tend to find at the beginning of the school year, our numbers are lower. As the school year goes up, they do go up. However, we have 21 students in our Transpro program. That's our 18 to 22-year-olds that are transitioning into adulthood. We've had a couple students already graduate out this year because they've turned 22. We do have 123 students in our outplacement programs. Only 113 of them have IEPs, and this also includes our students on Ingenuity that do not have IEPs. So that number is a little bit higher. And we have approximately 150 students that are in the community that we support. Those are the students at Head Start and other state-funded pre-K programs that our service providers push into the programs and provide speech, resource, and occupational therapy skills. When you put all of that together, we also have, I'm sorry, I missed 2 categories. GED students. We have about 14 students that are getting their GED that they do require special education services. Through the GED program that they're attending, if they are requesting special ed supports, they are entitled to that. So we potentially have 14. And then we do have 26 homeschool parents that are also entitled to special education supports if they want them. We do have some students that are taking us up on speech and occupational therapy skills, but they don't always. So when you put all of that together, we're at 31.22% of our total population. When you look at the count, the top count, the 5,018 students, those are the students in our buildings. When you look at the bottom, when it's the total WED count, that's the snapshot that's all of our students, even the ones in GED, homeschooled, everybody.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions, comments? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the special education update. And now I will ask Mr. Notoriani to give us.
Second.
Oh, second?
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving right along. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, I will ask Mr. Notoriani to give us the extensive building committee update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Because we didn't have a quorum, we weren't able to hold a meeting. The end.
The end. Yay. Nice and quick. Let's
Any
go.
questions or comments?
Second.
I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the building committee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Leclerc seconds it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 We'll go into new business.
Oh, wait, I think
I
we had-
didn't get a chance to make my sarcastic comment. At
You
least,
want to comment?
at
I asked
least
for comments.
curriculum and policy had quorums by one. We had quorums.
Well, we didn't.
Sorry.
Well,
We didn't. You're all set, Mr. Notoriani. Good job. Good job in running that meeting. We're going to new business now. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve outstanding invoices from the Woonsocket City Council, specifically auditing invoices and SRO invoices. Do we have a second?
second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of the school committee on this item is 2 invoices. We'll take them one at a time. The first invoice is for our SROs for fiscal year 26. The invoice totals $297,395.81, and this is for SRO coverage from July of 2025 through December 2025, so effectively half the year. We did recently sign an MOA, but that MOA did not handle how the payments were to be processed and really the payment terms at all. So I am just moving this forward to school committee to look for some feedback if we are okay to move forward with this, or if the school committee wants to see something a little different.
It would seem to me we would need some details since the MOA did not specify time and actually that payments have to be made.
So do we had no discussions on how, during the MOA discussions, we had no back and forth relative to how the payments would be done?
No, I think there was some discussion about maybe a per diem rate. I believe that came up. Historically, we've always paid the full amount, just to let the school committee know. They have billed us for the entire amount of the SRO. I was hopeful that the MOA would handle how the payments were to be made, but unfortunately it was not addressed. And like I said, I've now come to you to look for some answers as to how you would like to proceed.
Seems to me that we should be paying for only the work that's been done. So if they weren't working or they had to be pulled off the shift or whatever, we shouldn't be paying for that time. So we should be getting an accounting for the amount actually spent by the SROs. And that's what we should be paying for. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I want to pay for services rendered, not just a flat amount.
I agree. And with that, previously in previous years' MOAs, was it ever broached the finances and how to pay it? So it's never been broached in some kind of formal agreement.
Well, the agreement originally was when the city got the original grant for these SROs that it would slowly be transferred over to the school department over a number of years. And that's what's happened. And that was the model that we've been following ever since SROs began here at the Woonsocket Education Department. So again, with this new MOA that came out, I thought that this subject would be discussed, and it was discussed, but unfortunately it did not make it into the MOA. So again, that's kind of why I'm bringing this to your attention, just to really get the authorization or to find out how the committee would like to proceed. It sounds like the chairman would like an accounting of the days that officers were actually working.
Yeah.
So I could certainly reach out to the city and we can gather that information up and present it back.
I thoroughly agree also. I mean, they're a vendor and they should give us some kind of bill on how they worked and what they did.
Right. I agree.
So I agree.
Anyone?
Just a question. Is it true that we in Woonsocket are only one of 2 school districts that pay for the SRO, that the cities and towns of the other districts pay? Is that true?
The last current look I took at this, I believe there was one other town, I believe it was Middletown, that actually split the SRO costs. I could be incorrect on that. I haven't looked into this in a little while, but from what I can gather, it doesn't appear that any other urban districts in the state of Rhode Island pay for their own SROs, that those SROs are picked up by the municipality.
And considering the financial straits you talked about for next year at 27, I think we should only pay for what we received.
So we need more information. We would need more information at this point.
I will reach out to the city and I will gather that information up and report back to you at the next school committee meeting.
Okay.
Do we need any kind of motion or?
We're gonna, since it's all in one motion, we'll look for a motion to maybe table both of them until we get more information.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to table them?
Not yet.
Okay.
Mr. Perry, you want to go through the second set of invoices?
The second invoice is for the audit costs. Historically, Woonsocket Education Department has always paid $30,000 for their audit costs. That goes back to when I first started here. That's how the invoices always come to me, and we've always paid the $30,000. The invoice that we received here, we have both the 22 and the 23 audit costs. The 22 audit costs are $30,000 historically, like they always have been. But for fiscal year 23, the costs have gone up, and after a net adjustment out, the total cost that we're getting charged for 2023 is $100,000. I don't have any other backup than what is right here in front of you. So again, I move this to the school committee to kind of guide me on how you would like to proceed with this item as well.
What's interesting is the CPA firm did not have discussions with the school department in terms of the scope of the audit, as well as the scope of the audit for the city books and records. We did not sign any engagement letter with regards to this audit. We have no backup in terms of the hours spent by the CPAs in what areas and what levels of participation, whether the partner, the manager, the senior, and just the plain auditor, because all of those bill at different rates. So we have no data to support what in the world the total audit cost, as well as really what was the percentage or what were the actual areas audited for the school versus the city. Because when you think about what we heard throughout, on social media or at city council meetings, they were having a lot of trouble with finalizing the footnotes to the financial statements, with especially in the areas of the lawsuits that were outstanding. So a lot of the problems that were incurred in this audit relate to the city. We certainly didn't get involved in choosing the audit firm, so we need a lot more information before we would agree to pay which is $100,000 just because we're getting a bill from the city. We have no backup whatsoever for this audit, and to me, it doesn't make sense to pay this bill until we get all that information.
May I ask? So 22 was 30,000. So 23 was 143,000, and then there was discussions, and 43 was dropped.
Well, yeah. I believe.
They gave us a cut.
Yeah, there was a
It's a
cutback on the total cost from 143 to 100 even.
And this is all through the finance department of the city of Woonsocket.
I believe so. Yes, I believe.
Right.
Mrs. Kapissis,
Were we
did you?
part of that negotiation?
Well, the city has always handled the RFP as far as the audit goes. School department has been hands off with that. As you may recall, there was an auditor change in fiscal year 23. So I'm sure that anytime you have an audit change, certainly there's more expense related to any time because you have a new auditor coming in, having to really start from square one as far as the audit goes, as opposed to a year-over-year auditor who kind of has a good handle on things and can hit the ground running. So to see the increase, I guess I'm not surprised, but like I told the committee, I don't have any backup as to how we got to $100,000, and I can't really sit here and justify how we got to that amount to the school committee.
And I 100% agree with Mr. Bourget. As a professional, he's an accountant, I'm an attorney. I bill my time based on minutes. My day is broken up into 6-minute increments that are billed. I'm sure auditors must break their time up into 6-minute increments and bill per hour or per 6-minute increment. We don't get to see any of that. We just get presented with a lump sum bill, no engagement letter, no negotiations. I don't think the city has the ability to contract for this committee, which controls its own budget. So I agree with Mr. Bourget and Mr. Leclerc. We need an itemization. I want to see the type of bill that I have to present in the probate court when I want to get reimbursed for the work I've done in the state. I think it's only reasonable, and it's part of our fiscal responsibility to seek that out from the city.
It's insufficient for anyone, if it's the city's finance director to say, well, we'll just take 52%, we'll bill a city, and 48% gets billed to the school without any documentation at all. We need that documentation before we would even consider paying that bill.
Mr. Chairman, is that our percentage? The
No,
city's 52.
We
we're
have no
48?
idea.
Yeah.
Because there's the audit of the books and records, then there's the preparation of the financial statements and footnotes, and then there's the single audit that has to be done. But as Mr. Perrier noted, that when you have a new CPA, they're going to come in they have to build a permanent file, which is extensive. There's a lot going, and and take a look at our city. There was a lot going on. So there's a lot of work that had to be done that dealt with the city. So I want it, like I said, like Mrs. Kapiska says, I want to see a detailed breakdown of where the hours were spent. And why should we be paying a percentage? We need to know specifically what pertains to us.
Agreed.
Because it's unknown at this point.
Agreed. Okay.
So I'll make a motion to table the approval of the payments specifically for the auditing invoices and the SRO invoices. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any other comments? Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
So this is tabled. Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the reestablishment of the WED Professional Learning Advisory Board, PLAB, and its stakeholder membership. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc, Mrs. Costa. Dr. Holt, you went through this in detail. Is there any other further discussion?
Nope.
Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:08 PM. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.